Hey all, this is Nana from Yessie and Nana once again for my next video. So disclaimer again, I don't want to give any name drops. I know I did in the last video, but it was for people that I hadn't seen in I don't know how long. I hadn't seen any of those people since I was like 5, 6, or 7. I'm 23 now. I don't think we're in any type of contact to be able to be like, hey, that was you. I mean, if you remember me, that's awesome because I remember you. But from now on, I'm not going to give any names away because, you know, some of these people are on my social media. So I don't want to give any name drops. Plus, I don't really remember anybody's name. If I do say anybody's name, it'll probably be because, you know, they're not here anymore or something like that. And kind of like a verbal edit from the last video, because like I said, I'm going to do little to no editing unless, you know, something is offending somebody or, well, not really offending anyone. You know, it's my life. If you get offended by what I say, I don't know how. It's my life. I'm just telling you about my life. I can't really offend that many people. But, you know, if people who knew me and they're offended because I don't remember them or because, you know, something I said they view as incorrect, they can always, you know, hit me up and, you know, we can deal with it. An edit from the last one was the timeline. So I remembered clearly now because I told you guys in the last video I have a very bad memory. But I remember clearly now that for the Spanish immersion school that I went to, it was kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade. And then we moved to Woodland for 3rd grade. So I lived in a town. First we lived in Davis, that I remember was Davis. And then we moved to Woodland. And I went to 3rd grade there. And I had 3rd grade there. And then, you know, some stuff happened. I'll have, you know, issues or conflicts or anything like that in its own separate video. I might, you know, gloss over them within the rants about my life, but the ones just I'll make a couple that are just about, you know, any conflicts or issues that went on in my life or around me, I should say. 3rd grade, nothing really happened. I learned, you know, multiple choice. I learned the multiplication table, 12 times 12, all the way to 12 times 12. So I learned that. That's the only really significant thing that I remember from 3rd grade. And then, because like I said, because of some issues, we moved to Southern California, San Bernardino to be exact. We lived. I forgot where we lived. We lived in an apartment with some of my cousins, actually. I went to Muscoy Elementary School. Shout out to anybody who remembers me from there. For 4th grade, it wasn't that really memorable. I went there for a little while, and I don't exactly know why we left. Nothing really significant happened in 4th grade that I remember for the little while we were here. Well, not here. Right now I'm not in San Bernardino. Right now I'm in Newport Beach. But I don't really remember the significance of it. But then we moved. Sorry about that. Got interrupted by my brother. So like I was saying, nothing really significant happened when we were, you know, in Southern California for the 4th grade that I remember. There could be some stuff that I don't remember, but I remember, I don't know why we moved, but I remember we moved, and I got a certificate when we were moving, because I never missed a day of school. Like, my mom was super old school, so the only time I missed school is if, you know, I had a super high, well, I had a fever, if I had a fever, or I was throwing up or something. Anyway, so we left, and then we moved, in with my grandfather in San Francisco. He lives in Visitation Valley, for any of those people who, you know, are from San Francisco and know where that is. So I went to that elementary school, Visitation Valley Elementary School, and we lived there for a little while. yeah, and it was, you know, okay. You know, some stuff happened there, some arguments and stuff, you know, because like I said, my family is very old school, and you know, those old school Latin values. So it was like a lot of people living in that house. So it was, you know, my family. It was me, my mom, my brother and sister. So there's 4 people. My grandma and grandpa, my aunt and uncle, my youngest aunt and uncle. And then there's like an in-law downstairs. A lot of the places have that. In San Francisco, they have like, you know, it's upstairs, the main house. Then they have like some stuff downstairs. So downstairs there was an in-law, and my oldest aunt from my grandpa's side lived down there with her daughter, well, my younger cousin, and so there was like a lot of people in there. And then like my aunt, my youngest aunt's 3 years older than me, so at the time I was 10, she was 13. She started going through puberty, and my uncle was gonna, you know, starting like the emotional part of puberty too, because he is 3 years older than my aunt, so she was 16. So there's a lot of emotions going around, and you know, like, and my grandpa, you know, is my grandpa, so, you know, he's old school, so he's like, you have to pay this, and blah, 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 and, you know, just, you know, some drama happened, and we ended up leaving a cliche, darn good stormy night, and we moved to Sacramento. When we first moved to Sacramento, I believe, we lived, I don't know, like, my stepdad's stepmom, I don't know, it's a weird combination, but, you know, we lived with, you know, a family friend, we lived at their place for a little while, and I went to the school that was right there. What was it called again? John Bidwell. I went to John Bidwell Elementary School in Sacramento, California. Shout out to the people who know me there. I finished 4th grade out there. I went to 5th grade there, and the beginning half of 6th grade. For that, we lived in Sacramento for a minute. We moved around. So, like I said, we lived with that family friend, and then we moved to an apartment, and then we moved to a house in Oak Park on 11th Street. So shout out to the people at Oak Park. You know, I didn't really meet anybody out there, so they probably don't remember me. But you know, if you're from there, you know, hey, what's up? Anyway, so we're there, and then, you know, we left Sacramento the middle of my 6th grade, and we moved out here, actually, back down here to San Bernardino, and I went back to Muscoy Elementary School, and we've been living out here ever since, except for 1 year. Get back to that. Anyway, like I was saying, so we were out here for the rest of my 6th grade. I went, for that, we lived at my titi's house, which is a term for aunt. We lived at my titi's house and her back house. Then, like, we moved to some one-bedroom, like, back house, by ourselves. It was 1 bedroom, but the room was huge, like, ginormous. It was, like, the biggest room ever. You could fit 2, like, big old beds in there comfortably. And we were there for a little while, and then we moved to a duplex, 2-bedroom duplex, which was pretty fun. And then after that, we moved to a 3-bedroom house in Bloomington, which is near Fontana. So what's up to those people out there? So for San Bernardino, the San Bernardino County, I should say, at the very least, I was going to school out there for the end of 6th grade, 7th, 8th, and 9th. So I went to, like I said, Muscoy Elementary, back to Muscoy Elementary for 6th grade. Some of the people actually remembered me from 4th grade. Not the teacher, though. But some of the kids remembered me. And then I went to Cesar Chavez Middle School for 7th and 8th grade, which was pretty fun. I made a lot of friends, you know. A lot of them were the ones from Muscoy that remembered me from the 4th grade. But, you know, it was fun, like I said. And then after that, I went to Summit High School in Fontana. I still talk to some of those people. I have a lot of them on social media. Well, I talk to people off and on. I'm weird, okay? And so I went there for freshman year, Summit, and then the summer between freshman and sophomore year, we moved to Newport Beach. We moved to Newport Beach because, you know, it was better opportunity, better schooling, because, you know, it's, you know, affluent people here, so, you know, better school accommodations and such and such. So we've been out here for a while. I finished high school out here at CDM, Corona Del Mar High School. It was, I mean, I knew some people, and I wasn't in the best space in, like, high school. Well, it was middle school and high school, but really high school, I wasn't really in the best space. So it was kind of like, okay. And then I remember my senior year, for some reason, I don't know, I just wanted to move back to, you know, Northern California. So we did that after I graduated, and we lived with my grandma in Oakland for a while. I think it was like 6 months or something like that. No, not 6 months, almost 6, like 5 months, 5-6 months, something like that. We lived with her, but, you know, that ended badly, and she ended up kicking us out, you know, a couple days before Thanksgiving, and we ended up moving. And then we lived in some 2-bedroom house. It was fun, the 2-bedroom house. So we lived there for the rest of the year that we lived out there, but, you know, nobody really liked it out there. I mean, I was fine. I was whatever for me, but my brother and sister did not enjoy it. You know, they went to school, they started school in Newport Beach. Well, they didn't start school, but they started school down here in Southern California, and they made a lot of friends, and they were in, you know, school in Newport Beach for forever. So they wanted to come back, and they tried to, you know, make it work, but, you know, it didn't work. So we moved back, and we didn't move back to Newport Beach immediately. We were living with some family friends in La Palma for a little while. So we moved back in like June, and then we moved out the day before Christmas, on Christmas Eve. We moved out, and we moved to an apartment. It was a townhouse in Costa Mesa, and then we moved to this apartment, actually, that I'm sitting in right now. We've been living here ever since. So that's like the vague timeline of my life. So yeah. So I am, you know, Nana again from, you know, Yesi and Nana. For those people who, you know, weren't paying attention in the beginning, I'm 23 years old. I was born March 18th, 1996. I'm a Pisces, and, you know, that was, you know, my vague life story. So then we can get into, you know, the more juicy stuff. Woo! So, you know, the beginning, the first 5 years of my life, which I don't remember, weren't, from what I understand, were very eventful. You know, we just, you know, lived our day-to-day lives. And then, you know, at the end of being 5, my mom met this guy that turned, and then became my stepdad. But she met him, and, you know, they started going out and all that, and they ended up getting pregnant with my brother. Come to find out years later, well, not even years later, what I didn't know about, but I found out, you know, a little while later, is that he had, you know, a son who is a couple months older than my brother. So he was messing around with somebody before my mom, and she was pregnant also. So he has a son who was born in August, and then my brother was born in November of the same year, which is kind of messed up. But, you know, whatever. So, like, you know, there was that. He was a very passionate man. He's a Cancer. So he's a very passionate man. So, you know, they fall in love with the idea of love. And, you know, he was, for his own extent, he was in love with my mom. Like I mentioned the last video, he was affiliated, and that kind of intervened with what he was trying to do with us and what he was trying to do within his life. But like I said, you know, when he wasn't dealing with that, he was a really good father. He considers me one of his kids, and I consider him my dad. I mean, I have a father, of course, but he wasn't really there, which is, you know, another issue too. But we're gonna stay on my stepdad's line for right now. Yeah, like I was saying, he is a conflicting interest, I would say. What else? So yeah, so then my brother was born. So they were both born in 2002. I took a week off, like I said in the last video, for my brother's birth, from school. I went back and all that, and so then everything was fine for a while, and then I don't know when we found out about her, but come to find out, like, you know, the next year he had another kid. And then the year after that, you know, like, you know, my mom and my stepdad got into a lot of arguments. I didn't see a lot of them. Well, I didn't see any of them. Not a lot. I didn't see any of them. I saw the aftermaths of some of them. Like, I would come home and, you know, something's messed up, or she telling me he's not coming home tonight or something like that. So I really just saw the aftermath. There is only one that I actually remember seeing, and that was when I was in the 3rd grade, and I didn't really see a lot of it, so I even wrote a paper on it. It's a very strong memory. I just remember being in the shower, and I remember, you know, when you're like 10 years old, and you're just in the shower, mind your own business, you know, washing your hair or washing up or whatever, and I just hear doom, 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 like not and like back to back, but, you know, I just hear a lot of thumping, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? I think I hear shouting, but again, like I said, I'm in the shower, so you can't hear everything clearly. So I get out, and then I like open the bathroom door, and like right when I open the door, I see people, like my mom speeding by, and then my stepdad following, and she's like, no, you can't use my phone, blah 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 blah, yelling at him, dad. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And so then, like, they go in their room and they slam the door closed and all that, and then my mom's god sister comes by, and she's like, just go get dressed. And I'm like, okay. And I look, like, down the hall, and, like, I hear, like, my brother and sister, you know, kind of fussing, because, you know, they're at that age where my brother could talk a little bit, because he was 2. He was almost 2, so he could talk some, but, you know, it wasn't, you know, full sentences. And my sister, you know, she was just upset because all the loud noises. She was like 1, she was like almost 1 or 1, I forgot exactly when it happened, but she wasn't 1 yet. She was almost 1. And then at the time, my stepdad's sister was there, so you know, she's all fussing over the babies, and so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go get dressed, whatever. So then, like, my room was right next to theirs, and, you know, I could still hear, you know, some shouting or whatever, and I'm like, okay, let me get dressed. So then, like, after I get dressed, my mom's god sister comes into the room, and she's like, you don't need to go out there, blah, blah, blah. But then, like, I hear more shouting, and I'm like, and then she leaves, and then I go after her, because, you know, I'm curious, what the hell is going on? And I walk down the hallway, I see photos on the floor, because we had a lot of photos hanging up. So I saw photos on the floor. I walk into the living room that's messed up, and they had this one big picture of them together, and that was ripped and all that, and there was some stuff thrown around. I'm just like, what the heck is going on? And so then I went outside, because I hear all the shouting outside, and I go outside. Cliche, I know, it's drizzling. And my mom's in a bush. I don't see how she got in there, but my mom's in a bush and she's yelling, and we lived in an apartment and it was upstairs. So I was at the top of the stairs and she's in the bush downstairs yelling, and he's like in like, there's like so the way it was like, you know, kind of like U'd or whatever, and then there's a crosswalk at the bottom, not a crosswalk, a walkway at the bottom, like you go under the U for upstairs. Anyway, so she's like in the bush yelling at him, and he's yelling at her, and she's like, you can leave, blah blah blah. And so then I'm like, what the heck is going on? So then my pretty much my aunt and, you know, my mom's god sister were on the stairs, and they're like, they see me, they're like, I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, come inside, come inside. So, you know, we take, like, my brother and sister were curious too, so they were kind of at the door, so I was bringing them inside, and they came inside, and then, you know, my mom's, they're still yelling outside, I don't know what's going on, and then, you know, my aunt was, you know, packing my stepdad's stuff after that, like, whole argument in the bush, and she's, like, you know, upset, clearly, she's packing, I'm like, what's going on? She's like, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. So there's like, that was the one thing that I actually, you know, witnessed of them arguing. Like I said, the rest of it, you know, I saw the aftermath, like, you know, them upset with each other, or, you know, mom telling him he's not coming back at least for tonight and stuff like that. That happened when I was in the 3rd grade. So we lived in Woodland. That happened, and then after the school year was over, we moved to Southern California. I don't know if that's the exact reason, but I know it played a part of it. Like, and then when we moved back, you know, and I told you we were living in Sacramento, there was, like, in that family friend's house, there was an argument that I saw the aftermath of. So the school I went to was right behind the house. So I walked home to and from home from school, which is fun, you know, for a 4th grader. So one day I remember walking home and opening the door, and, you know, nobody's there. I'm like, hello? Like, sometimes somebody's there, sometimes there's not. It's the middle of the day, you know. Not everybody had a 9 to 5, but, you know, sometimes people were there, but nobody was there. And but I saw, like, everything, like, messed up and thrown around. I'm like, what the heck happened? Did we get robbed or something? Like, I literally thought we were robbed. And I was like, and then my mom came and I was like, oh my God, Mom, we were robbed. She's like, no, we just got into an argument. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, we just got into an argument. I'm like, are you for real right now? I was like, I thought we got robbed and you guys just got into an argument. Like, oh my God, it's so ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. So yeah. They ended up breaking up. Like, my mom filed, they got married, and my mom filed for a divorce. She said when my brother was like 9. He refused to sign the papers. But yeah, so yeah. So yeah, that's some of the stuff that has happened to me. The videos from now on will be recaps of my day. I might remember, you know, something that I might want to mention before or from, you know, the past. So I'll probably be like, oh yeah, I forgot about this, or oh yeah, this reminded me of this. And so that was just, like, you know, the recap of my high school life and, you know, moving around and stuff. I'll tell you guys a little bit about, you know, college and how much I don't like it. And stuff like that. And so, yeah, that's, you know, the outline of my life in a nutshell. I still represent Northern California more than I do Southern California. Probably when we move back, if we hadn't moved back, you know, in with my grandma, like, we hadn't moved, like, to the city part, we probably would have stayed out there. Who knows? There's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts. I'll tell you, I'll make a whole video about the ifs and or buts that I think about, you know, about my life. You know, like, what if we stayed here, and what if this didn't happen, and this, that, and the third. So look forward to that. Maybe I'll make that next time. So like last time, please, you know, like, subscribe, and comment down below. Like I said, you know, make any comments you want. I would prefer if you don't make negative comments, but, you know, life. What else? I hope you guys have an awesome day. Don't pay attention to, my unkeptness. Like I said, this is going to be raw stuff. So, raw footage, and a raw look. Yeah, I'm a weirdo. You'll probably see more of that as we go on. And I get a little more comfortable in front of the camera. Deuces.